Let's take a look. The newest comment that I want to talk about is from a video I made several months ago called Two Single Girls' Honest Opinion on Balding Men. That was the very first interview I ever did with a female as far as what effect does balding have on, you being attracted to a guy. That was the first of several videos that I'm kind of getting bored making, because it's the same thing every time. If I interview a female about what she finds attractive in a man, she says his smile, his ability to make her laugh, his confidence. It's always stuff like that. She never even mentions his looks until then she says, oh, did you mean his looks? And then I say, well, that's up to you. And then she'll still not talk about hair. And then I'll have to bring it up. And then they'll admit that they've dated a guy that was bald. And it's boring. We're not learning anything from it. People will watch the videos if I make them, and then people will just say, well, the girls aren't being honest about balding because they don't want to seem like they're not being sincere. But ultimately, if they're not going to bring it up when I ask them those questions, if I have to dig an answer out of them, you can tell very clearly, confident, smiling, making them laugh. That's the stuff they care about. Smile. Okay. So anyway, Dragon Driver 100, I like that name. Sounds like an old school Atari game. Here's what he said. He simply left this comment saying, quote, "What made me paranoid about losing my hair was the fact that I couldn't attract girls even when I had hair," end quote. Now, such a short comment, but there's a lot of psychology in this that I want to address. So let me just say that again. What made me paranoid about losing my hair was the fact that I could not attract girls even when I had hair. Oh, I did not fall. So here's what we're understanding from that is take away the hair loss. He's still saying he couldn't attract girls. It makes me think, so does that mean, because a lot of the people who watch my videos, the insecurity comes from the fact that they're afraid that females won't find them attractive. I'm not saying that's the only reason or even the main reason, but it's a common reason among a lot of people watching my videos. So he says it, in black and white. There are other reasons why he, I guess, couldn't attract girls. And I had even somebody else ask me earlier this week, do I have any tips on, dating girls? There's this girl I keep seeing at the store and I don't know what to say to her. While I easily could make an entire channel out of that, right now I'm going to focus on hair channel. So I would just direct you to some other YouTube channels. They've probably got some more polished tips than I could give you there. But what I want to use this video topic for today is to point out the underlying psychology in this. And that is, I want to ask this question. Is hair loss really your number one security? Where would you put that on a list, say a 5 or 10? In your insecurities that you have about your life, about yourself, where does hair loss fall? I think it's important, obviously I always talk about it's important to acknowledge and embrace your hair loss. That's a common theme that I talk about. But where would you place it on a list of insecurities? Because it's funny, because for me, it is definitely not at the top. I know it seems that way because I make 3 hair videos a day. So if that's all you hear me talk about, you may easily, a lot of my new subscribers and new viewers think that. But in reality, just off the top of my head, what are my top insecurities? They're actually not even physical, if you can believe it. They have more to do with my ability to make money, just providing, good emotional support for my family, things like that. Those are my insecurities. And a lot of those things I don't have so much control over in a certain way. So my insecurities are more about the things like that. But if you wanted me to get physical, like as far as physical insecurities I have, I really don't know. Just because I don't rely on my looks for things, I rely on my personality. And I think that's why it's not in my list of insecurities, because I know that I don't need that, and I know that I never have. My looks never were the reason I got anywhere in life. And I'm an average looking guy. That's the truth. I'm an average looking guy. So even in those of you who are new to this channel, my wife and I were friends for exactly 4 months before we started dating. And my wife never thought of me as an attractive guy until the moment I asked her out, which goes back to the psychology of what girls find attractive, that confidence and that sort of thing. But until I asked her out, I was just another guy. And then suddenly I became handsome, and she saw me differently once I asked her out. So it's interesting to see how that works. So yeah, for me, hair loss thing, I'm like, I acknowledge it and I talk about it to help other people, but it's not an insecurity of mine. And I think this is very important what Dragon Rider 100 said. He's acknowledging that even without the hair loss, he'd still have insecurities that would get in the way. And I think it's important for all of us to, again, not only place where your hair loss insecurities fall on your top 5 or top 10 list, but what are the other things on that list? What are the things that are more of an insecurity, less of insecurity? I think it's interesting to take a look at that, because I think it's possible. This is my theory, and this is my closing thought on this video. My theory is, especially for Dragon Driver 100, that we set the stage and we put our hair loss insecurity up there as if that is the reason for all these other limitations in life. And we might even use our hair loss insecurities as sort of the graven image, the false god of this false image of what our real insecurities are. Sure, it's a real thing. Hair loss is a real thing, and it absolutely is going to affect your psyche. Absolutely. Not denying that. Not downplaying what the toll it can take on your brain. I don't know. You know, your life. I get it. But I think we can be giving it more credit than it really should get credit for. I think if we were to truly unpack all of our insecurities, we'd see that we're placing it on a higher pedestal in our life than we give it. It doesn't deserve as much credit. There's other things, other insecurities that maybe we can't physically see, we don't acknowledge as much, so we just give the credit to hair loss as far as being the thing that's setting us back. That's my theory. That's what I want you to think about. Please let me know in the comments. This is something I think is very important. So instead of giving all the credit for hair loss for our insecurities, what are those other things that are maybe harder to see and harder to talk about and hard to acknowledge? But just like with Dragon Slayer, even if he had hair, he'd still have issues talking to girls, and he admits that. And I thank you for your honesty on that. Okay, unpack that in the comments for me.